Thursday, April 26th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, Thursday, we totally cop out.
Let's do this. So probably for the past, I don't know, let me do some math here. 19 years of my life, I've carried around stuff with me where I went. You know, if I went places, I needed to bring shit with me. And I've brought that shit in a bag. In a specific style of bag, the backpack.
See, I had one backpack, the exact same backpack, up until halfway through high school, where, for various reasons, an apple ended up sitting in the outside pouch until it became powder.
Oh, God.
Well, it was in there, and I thought, and I kept forgetting about it, and finally I open it one day, and there's this rotten apple, and it's all there. I didn't want to deal with it, so I just closed it. And then every day that went by, it was one day worse to actually deal with it, so I never dealt with it.
And it turned to dust?
Yeah, and then the backpack was okay.
Should have added water and drank it. It tastes like apple juice.
That's a great idea.
All right, so anyway, when I was a kid, you know, I had probably some cartoon characters. I didn't remember what kind of backpack I had until eventually I got a blue LL Bean backpack, and I replaced that like 4 or 5 years ago with a black LL Bean backpack.
I had a black backpack. I don't know who made it. Well, eventually the apple dust and other incidents forced me to buy a new backpack, which I then used until today, and I still use.
Yeah. I still have the black one, by the way. But, yeah, LL Bean is pretty cool because if you get a backpack from them, it's got this lifetime warranty. So if anything happens to it, you just say, hey, give me a new one, and they give you a new one when you send them back the old one. It's pretty cool.
You know, theoretically, I still have the lifetime warranty on that bike that I just got repaired.
Nah. Yeah.
The thing is, the warranty only applies to the lifetime parts, which, if I read it closely, is only the frame and nothing else. And every single other component has been replaced.
Pretty much every bike has the same kind of deal, where the frames have super warranties and the other parts don't. Anyway, so I got this laptop recently. We talked about it before. It's really small, and I wanted to carry it around. And just dumping it in my backpack was not working so well. But I didn't really want to buy a new bag because, well, my backpack didn't feel very old. I mean, it's still in great condition, but I realized, hey, this thing's like 5 or 6 years old. I can totally replace it without worrying about it. Why shouldn't I replace it? So I did. So I went around, I tried to find a bag, you know, not necessarily a backpack, but a bag, you know, the messenger bags that are all hip and cool in the style, that would hold a 10.6-inch widescreen laptop.
Yes. Also, not a crappy one, because I did buy a messenger bag a little while ago from an outlet store, and one of the straps broke immediately.
Wow.
Immediately.
That sucks. So I went looking around. I went to a store in the city that sells just bags and nothing else. And basically, I could find plenty that were close, but none of them would hold this tiny laptop and efficiently and hold all my other stuff efficiently. And it just wasn't going to work out, buying a laptop bag. So I said to myself, I know what to do. I'll get a laptop sleeve to protect the laptop, and then just a normal bag. I could just dump the sleeve into it. The problem, of course, was it was just as hard to find a 10.6-inch laptop sleeve as it was to find a bag that supported 10.6-inch laptops.
I'm surprised he didn't go with the classic bindle.
The bindle?
The bindle.
Oh, you mean the hanky on a stick?
Hanky on a stick.
Hanky on a stick is not going to work for a $2,000 laptop.
If you get a good hanky and a good stick, maybe there's a market for upscale bindles.
Laptop bindles?
You know, you get a nice titanium alloy stick.
Like geekbindle.com?
Yeah.
It could work.
Same kind of people who buy Utilikilts and all that will probably buy a geek bindle.
Oh, that sounds like a good idea to me. Maybe we should go for it. Anyway, I finally found a laptop sleeve, and it's such a good laptop sleeve that I'm going to recommend it to you. If you're in the market for a sleeve of some sort to protect your laptop, especially if your laptop is some weird size, but also if your laptop is a normal size, you should go to the website shinza.com, SHINZA.com, and I'll probably link to this. And they sell the Zero Shock 3 laptop sleeve in all sorts of sizes, including 11 inches, which is perfect. It's like 30-something bucks, and it super protects your laptop on all sides. It's got this nice zipper, and it's made out of this foamy stuff, and it's great. So I got me one of those. But then I needed a bag. And I went looking around at bags, and, you know, there are some bags that were okay. You know, there's a urban Manhattan something brand that is like made in the city or something. And there's some other brands that were looking okay, like the Targets and the whatevers. But nothing was really like, standing out to me because I don't want to have the same bag as like every other schmuck on the street. So I finally found the answer. You might have seen people around who have messenger bags that have a swirly on them. I've seen them around. Remy, you ever seen them around?
See, I never had until you pointed it out, and now I notice a few of them.
Yeah, see, like I would see them around from time to time, and it never even occurred to me that the swirly was a brand or anything. It's just like I would see messenger bags with swirlies.
I don't know. I guess I don't spend my time walking around Manhattan and looking at other men's bags.
I look at all kinds of stuff while I'm standing around. Anyway, that swirly is the brand logo of a company called Timbuktu. Timbuk, the number 2.
Not to be confused with the mediocre board game by the same name.
No, and not to be confused with the place in geography. And they make all sorts of crazy bags.
I like you say the place in geography. Like it's not a real place, but just a thing you learn about in school.
Well, have you ever been there?
No.
Do you know anyone who's been there?
Possibly.
So it's essentially equivalent to North Dakota.
Except I know someone who lived in North Dakota.
Lived, they say. They're
Yeah.
in on the conspiracy.
I see.
So Timbuktu sells all kinds of cool bags, but what's especially cool is that if you want a messenger bag, the kind that's all hip and in style, you can customize it at their website. It can get pretty expensive, but it's worth it if you actually are willing to pay to get exactly what you want.
The bag, I gotta say, that you got is pretty nice.
It's real nice. It's made in San Francisco, I assume by a combination of hand and machine. And you can customize all sorts of stuff. You see, all their bags have the same design of 3 panels of material. So it's like 3 stripes. And you can choose the color of each stripe. So you can get one that's like, black, purple, red, or green, yellow, green again. I got gray, black, gray, because everything I'm getting lately seems to be black and silver and such. So I wanted to make everything match. And then you can choose the color of the swirly, and you can choose what kind of straps you want, and you can choose what you want on the inside, whether you want 1 compartment or 2. You can choose to have a handle or not, and you can choose all sorts of stuff. And I bought this bag, and it was kind of annoying because, I wasn't too sure spending like $100 on a bag. I might not like the bag. What am I going to do? And since it's a custom bag, it's non-returnable. So I was very cautious. And then the bag showed up, and I got the bag. And let me tell you, it's a good bag. It's like, oh man.
I think the moral, and this seems to be the moral in almost every situation you can ever come across in your entire life, is that in almost any time where you have a problem, money is always the answer. Money will solve your problems for you.
I think the other moral is if you have the choice between buying a mainstream mass-manufactured product that's just the same thing 1,000 times or customizing something to your personal needs, if you can afford to customize something to your personal needs, you'll probably be much happier doing so.
Yes. It's like it costs X dollars more to get the custom
thing.
To
get the same bag as me at that bag store in the city was like $50. I basically paid twice as much in order to get exactly what I wanted.
That's really not that much money, though, at all.
Yeah, considering this bag is probably going to be my primary bag of bags for carrying shit around for, I don't know, at least 5 years, I think that's worth $100.
Consider that there was this messenger bag that was made out of leather for sale at some fair I was walking by in the city, and it was $300.
Whoa! Who the hell would buy that?
I don't know.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm walking around the city with my cool bag that's got all sorts of compartments, and it holds stuff real efficiently, and it's pretty cool. And I see all these other people walking around with their doofy bags, and I'm like,
I gotta admit, my bag's pretty doofy, and I hate it. I hate it, hate it, hate it. My backpack's okay, except it's kind of broken.
Yeah, my backpack's still okay. It's just I got this laptop now, so I'm not going to carry... I was definitely not going to carry a separate laptop bag and the backpack. That wasn't going to happen.
But that messenger bag I got now is just not doing it. Riding my bike with that thing is like the worst experience ever.
Actually, the Timbuktu bag has this additional feature that it's pretty much... It's not an additional feature. It's a standard feature. It has this cross strap you attach to one of these little rings, and you can... pull it really tight onto your body, and it's meant to be worn while riding the bike.
Now, one thing I find interesting, a bag like this would never have been necessary or even an idea I would have thought of in most of my life. It's only that I live here in New York where I often end up taking trains around in mass transit, and I'm usually very far away from my car, as opposed to the rest of my life where no matter where I was, my car was always there, so I kept anything I needed in my trunk. I have to be more and more able to carry things I need on me, on my person at all times. So basically, and Scott's the same way, we need purses now, as opposed to just cars.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be that I would just carry a wallet wherever I went, and maybe a key. And then a cell phone was added. And then a laptop was added.
Once I got a trench coat, and I became one of those guys who wears the trench coat way back in high school, I started carrying everything I needed in the trench coat, which was great in the winter, and really sucked in the summer because I didn't have anywhere to put all that stuff.
Well, actually, before the laptop was added, the iPod was added, and the digital camera was added, and the train ticket, and it just gets out of control. You need a merce.
Well, it helped that when I was a kid, I didn't need to carry around, a bunch of credit cards and a bunch of health insurance cards and my Metro card and my train tickets and my work ID and all the IDs for the other jobs I have.
And a DS needs to be carried around, too.
Oh, yeah. I carry my DS everywhere I go, which is probably why I broke my first DS.
And DS games. And it's just too much stuff. And this bag, it does the trick. So if you are someone who needs a bag to carry your shit around with, and you got some money to spend, timbuk2.com. The bag is made in San Francisco 100%. It's a little bit expensive, but you can customize it to be exactly right for your lifestyle.
It gives me the same feeling that Jimmy wallet gives me.
It does give you the same feeling.
Domestically produced by non-slave labor. Company seems pretty cool. They make a great product, and it's the exact right price.
Well, it's not the exact right price. I would have much rather paid the $50. I mean, if this thing had anything disappointing about it, I would have been very upset because it was non-returnable.
Yeah,
but they do guarantee the quality. So, if it was broken, say the strap was ripped in half when it came, they would have fixed that for me.
I'm probably going to get a similar bag once I get a laptop.
Yeah. The thing is these are the only people, actually, who would sell a size of the bag small enough. That was my goal, was to get the smallest bag possible that would still hold on my shit. It's the medium-sized bag that they make is way big. It's 18.75 inches wide.
See, my problem, I usually carry a pair of clothes with me now because I bike to work. Well, I bike to the train station, and then I change at work. There's a shower and everything there. Because I woke up late one day, and I just put on my normal business clothes, and I went to work. And no big deal. I'm riding my bike. And maybe it's just because I haven't ridden my bike a lot since it was broken. Now it's finally repaired. I forgot that riding any bike will basically tattoo the inside of your right leg with grease.
Yeah, that's what it does.
So I tattooed and tore one of my dress pants.
That's what happens. Yeah, that's happened to me quite a few times.
Yeah. Granted, when I was a kid, I pretty much had a permanent grease/scar stain on the inside of my leg.
Well, that's why they make those little strings that you can tie your pants, tight to your leg.
I'm talking about on my leg.
Oh, yeah. But I'm saying, for the torn dress pants. They make the little string. You can tie your pants close to your legs.
Yeah, I much prefer just putting on shorts, riding to work, wearing shorts on the train, getting to work, putting my stupid business pants on, taking them off at 4, getting back on the train.
All right, you keep doing that.
Yeah.
But, they make bags ranging from extra small to extra large, and I got
All right, enough about the bag. We talked for 13 and a half minutes about your stupid bag.
I know, because it's such a great bag. I can't stop talking about it.
Yeah, I want to talk about something more important.
All right.
I built my new computer, right? All in the forums, and found the perfect motherboard. Everything was set. I was going to come home today, because I can't get to Newegg from work, click buy, and just wait for my new computer to come. But today at work,
points.
Mana, that clock never rings. So
it almost rang, almost.
So I'm poking around on the Ubuntu forums, and the Gentoo forums, and I start noticing that people don't have a lot of great things to say about that motherboard in Linux, and that several of its key functions seem to have a lot of problems. And these posts were from a couple months ago, and I didn't see any resolution, really. And I started getting leery.
Yeah, well, see, there's a big problem in that recently, motherboards have done a few cool things that have caused trouble. First, they've made onboard sound cards that don't suck. That's good, because now you don't have to go out and spend extra money on a sound card, and that somehow didn't increase the price of motherboards. So it's like everyone gets a free sound card that doesn't suck.
The bad part is many of those sound cards work poorly, if at all, in Linux.
Yep. Secondly, The people have started adding lots of SATA ports and RAID and all sorts of other awesome storage features.
The AV9 has 10 serial ATAs. I was so excited about that motherboard.
10 serial ATA connectors, 3 different serial ATA controllers to handle all those connectors. But, of course, all these different, controllers that handle these connectors, some of them work better than others in Linux. Some work perfectly, some don't work at all, some work but have problems. It's really not so hot.
So I think, despite the fact that I really wanted to go straight up Intel all the way, I'm probably going to have to buy an Enforce board, which I used to love Enforce, but now all the new Enforces, they're all SLI, so they all cost a lot more money than they need to.
Yeah, this is what's doubly annoying, right? Oh, I forgot. Also, network cards are starting to be built into motherboards, which isn't a big deal because network cards cost like $10, but it does save you a slot. And the thing is, some network cards work in Linux and some don't.
Luckily, most of them do.
Yeah, but it's like when you couldn't get one on your motherboard and you would go and buy one separately, you would just always buy one that worked in Linux and it wouldn't matter what motherboard you got. You weren't restricted in any way. So
the moral is, now I'm looking at motherboards.
All right, the SLI, hold on.
And SLI I don't want, but
Yeah.
every motherboard has it.
That's what's annoying is that NVIDIA is really pushing this SLI because they want everyone to buy 2 video cards with 2 NVIDIA chips so they make more money.
But every benchmark I read shows that SLI gets marginal performance
Yeah, it would
gains
be
at
one
best.
thing if SLI actually was almost like twice as fast as one video card. Like if it was 175% the speed of, what the video card that you chose to get 2 of. That would be all right. But it's not. It's like 125%. And in some cases, it's actually slower if you have 2 video cards than if you have 1. And the Enforce chipset works really well in Linux, but every motherboard that has an NVIDIA chipset also has SLI.
No big deal, except they're all expensive as a result.
Yeah, so it's like you got to pay $200 for a motherboard that you're only going to use $110 worth of just to get the chipset that works in Linux because the other ones don't work.
So here's the worst thing. This is perhaps the nail through my palms.
Mm-hmm.
The motherboard that's the best price per all the features it has that supports everything I want is none other than the goddamn 8-bit Fatality motherboard.
For anyone who doesn't know, Fatality is like a famous FPS playing guy. I don't know if he's technically still the best in the world, but he's definitely the most famous in the world.
He's one of the best FPSers ever to live.
Yeah, pretty much.
Other than perhaps Dan Greer, who for some reason never really competed, even though he should have.
So, and Fatality is this famous guy, I forget his name, but if you told it to me, I'd say that's the one. But he has a licensing deal with 8-bit where they put his name on the motherboards in order to sell them to gamers.
Now, that's a bullshit gimmick. It's garbage. However, this motherboard is not that bad.
It's like I would be ashamed to buy a motherboard with this kid's name on it.
You know what it's like? It's like if when you were a kid, right? Back when the Air Jordans were like $90. Or
yeah,
you could get a
now
pair
they're $200.
Or you could get a
Those
pair
are the good days.
You could get a pair of Keds for like $10. It's like if suddenly the Air Jordans were less than the Keds. And you don't want to buy them because you're buying into that bullshit branding, but at the same time, it's a good shoe, and it's cheaper now than the nominally cheap shoe.
I will tell you, I never owned them, but I am 100% sure the original Air Jordan is an excellent shoe, perhaps one of the best shoes ever.
It was, because I did in fact own a pair. However, I got them on a discount because I bought the previous year's model. How unfashionable could Rim be?
There's actually, if you go on eBay and try to look for like old Air Jordans that are still in one piece, they go for quite a bit of money.
Really?
Yes.
Luckily, unluckily, I wore mine out.
Yep.
Right.
I knew a guy who still had his old Air Jordans from when he was a kid, and he sold them for, he didn't sell them, but he kept wearing them all the time.
So, anyway, in the news, and I'll be quick about this, Fark has changed. Fark looks different, that is all.
Also, there's some other news about that, actually. Fark's policy on copyright now
Hasn't changed in many years.
but it still sucks.
Here's the thing, and luckily, the people in charge of Fark talked about it almost right away because people noticed suddenly that, hey, Fark claims copyright on anything I post here.
It's like they changed the website, so now people could actually navigate and find the page that said that.
It says it at the bottom. It's always said it. It was so hard to miss the terms of service on Fark. You'd have to be an idiot to not see them. I've known about them for as long as I've used Fark.
I've never looked at them, so.
Here's the deal. The skinny from Drew Curtis, and I trust the dude because this guy has never done anyone wrong as far as I can see. He basically said that the language is such as it is, so that, one, and well, this is me reading between the lines, the radio stations around America like to rip Fark off all the time. If you listen to any wacky, waving morning show where they talk about the crazy jungle, blah, 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 they're pretty much just reading Fark.
Yeah, I remember I listened to this one morning show in Rochester a few times, and all they did was, it didn't seem like the actual radio host guy knew about Fark or what it was or anything. It seemed like there was a producer somewhere who would get stories off Fark and feed them to him. And of course, people who listen to the radio in the morning aren't Fark readers 90% of the time. So they hear these incredibly hilarious news stories and they go, OMG, this guy on the radio is so hilarious. When really he's just a guy reading Fark to you because you're too inept.
And it wasn't just finding the stories on Fark. These DJs would often read the headlines like they were their own, or actually read through the comments and make jokes that people on Fark made.
That's what they would do.
Also, a lot of websites would rip off Fark Photoshops all the time. So the real purpose of this is so that when other websites or newspapers or radio or whatever rip off from Fark, Fark can sue them.
Has Fark actually sued anyone?
Fark has gone after people several times. I don't know if they've actually sued, but they have written angry letters and sent cease and desist and all sorts of things.
If I was Fark, I would just make a form cease and desist and send it to every single morning zoo radio show in the entire country.
I wouldn't send one to Howard Stern.
No,
because he actually, however, whatever your feelings are on the guy, the man's smart, and he doesn't just rip off a Fark.
Nope, he does not rip off a Fark.
However, I don't actually listen to Howard Stern. I just know about him.
The only time I ever listened to Howard Stern was, I think, when I was driving around trying to listen to my iPod with an FM transmitter, and some guy's Sirius satellite radio overpowered me.
Oh, you mean like what happened to me every single goddamn day until I took the antenna off my car?
Yep.
See, Howard Stern is like Larry Flint. Don't like the guy, don't really like what he does, but I respect everything he stands for.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. It's
because
like
all he stands for is freedom to do what I want, freedom of speech. The FCC is bullshit.
Yep, and his radio voice is pretty good.
Howard Stern has one of the best radio voices ever.
That's because he's pretty much the most professional radio guy there ever was.
If I had a few $1,000s, I could make Scott and I sound a lot like that.
I think we also need giant vocal cords like that.
No, because you can do a lot of that in post-production.
Yes. No, I can't. Anyway.
Yeah, part of the key is to talk really close to the microphone. But then you got to do all sorts of stuff where it'll clip, and my voice is definitely not suited to it without a whole bunch of other post-production.
So, let's go get away from that and get back towards the geek news here.
All right, well, Fark changed. That is all.
Yep. Ken Kutaragi. If you don't know who Ken Kutaragi is, you should. He's basically the father of the PlayStation. If you consider Miyamoto and Iwata and those people to be the fathers of Nintendo, Ken Kutaragi is the father of the PlayStation. If you like PlayStation games, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, if you care about gaming at all, you should know about this guy. He is very, very important, and he's really important. But today, something crazy happened. No, he didn't die. He quit/resigned/ was forced to resign / retired.
Now, is this because he's old and wants to retire? Or is this because of issues that may have arisen in Sony's current fiscal situation?
Yes, I am not quite sure. Basically, the obvious conclusion to jump to is, oh, the PS3 sucked, so he was forced to quit. Oh. But there are many analysts who know a lot more about like behind-the-scenes game business than we do. And they're saying such things as, well, Sony doesn't really need a visionary right now. They just need someone to get the job done. And so they're going to switch up to someone who's good at just making a lot of stuff and getting stuff out on the shelves real fast.
Making license plates.
Yep. There's also some other talk like, well, you know, sure, he's going to quit and let someone else do the job so he can spend more time thinking about stuff and be more advisory. So I have linked here to an article that contains many more professional opinions than ours, and you can read about it and make your own conclusion because there's not much said about it anywhere. It's sort of, that's why I said we don't even know if he retired or quit or what because no one's talking so much.
Adebisi pricked me with an AIDS-infected needle.
Good luck with all that.
I can't believe I never made this a thing of the day. This is one of those old classic things that you probably should have seen it, but just in case you didn't, here it is. You see, Seinfeld ended, and as a goof, they got Seinfeld and the cast from Oz, and they made a kind of mini episode trailer of what it would be like if Jerry Seinfeld were in the Oswald Maximum Security Penitentiary. And let me tell you, it's pretty terrific.
Yeah, I watched Seinfeld a lot, obviously, but I never really watched this Oz show. All I knew is it was a show about a terrible prison with lots of rape going on.
Actually, it's a really good show, and I've seen most of it. It's actually in the Netflix queue because I never saw how it ends.
Uh-huh. Well, if you like prisons and rape and good TV shows, you should probably get it from your Netflix or buy the sets or whatever.
Yeah, you should probably, in fact, watch all of Seinfeld and all of Oz.
Anyway, when you combine these two things, it doesn't really matter if you actually know anything about Oz or Seinfeld. Of course, it helps. It makes it funnier. But it is pretty funny.
I will give you one little hint. The guy who asks Seinfeld, "Are you a Hebrew?" He is basically the skinhead Nazi leader of the Aryan skinhead Nazis in the prison.
Ah.
That is why there are numerous instances where they talk about him nailing someone up somewhere, or, well, he asks Jerry if he's a Jew, and Jerry's like, yeah.
But people are okay with that on a national level.
The best part is the one guy, you'll know which guy, he pulls off an absolutely flawless George Costanza.
Yeah, well, if you haven't seen Seinfeld, you won't know who it is. But
Doesn't matter. If you've seen any Seinfeld, you'll know which guy I'm talking about. It's beautiful. Like, props to that actor.
yeah, it's generally funny when you combine two things, especially when it's not. This isn't like a combination done by like some guys cutting and pasting these two shows together. This is Seinfeld and the guys from Oz actually got together and did this.
I got to admit, I would have been very intimidated to be on that set with those people, because seeing that show, having seen Oz, it is very hard to convince myself that those are not those people and that they are actors.
Yeah, I mean, when you're acting like a scary
Adam
dude.
Beasy is a scary motherfucker.
In real life, he's just some guy who'd be like, hey, how you doing? It's
Except,
like,
of course, that hat. And to this day, how the hell does that hat stick to his head?
I don't know what Adam Beasy looks like, so.
A gigantic black dude. He's the most evil dude ever, and he's just in this prison.
Well, he pricks people with AIDS-infected needles. I imagine he's a bad dude.
That's probably one of the tamest things he's ever done.
Whoa! Wait, do you stab someone with an AIDS-infected sword?
So he has this stupid little hat that kind of
Shoot
sticks.
someone with an Ebola-infected gun?
That kind of sticks on the side of his head, and it doesn't fall off, and it just sticks there.
That's how he's stuck there with glue.
It's hilarious.
It's part of his head. He's actually got a big lump there. He's covering it up.
I would assume he shaves his head. He probably leaves hair there and just sticks it to the hair.
Ooh, that's good.
That's what I would do if I was at a BC.
Yep. All right, so my thing of the day is a video I saw on Dig today because, I couldn't think of anything better to show you. And I actually I expected something completely different from this video than what I got. You see, the video was like, tiger attacks man on elephant. And I'm like, okay, is going to see an elephant stepping on a tiger. This is going to be pretty cool because tigers can't really beat elephants unless there's a lot more than one of them.
Nah, but we learned something from this video. And what we learned was just because you're on an elephant does not mean a tiger does not have the ability to kick your ass.
Yeah, I mean, if I was on an elephant and there was a tiger way down on the ground and my elephant was a big elephant and not, say, a baby elephant, personally, before seeing this video, I would not have been worried. I would have been like, my elephant can beat that tiger.
Not even that. I would have thought, why would a tiger wouldn't even attack me? I'm top of this giant elephant. It's kind of like if you're on a deck or on a balcony, you feel real safe, even late at night in a bad neighborhood. But if you're on the ground floor, not so safe.
Yep. Well, this video, you'll see a guy riding on an elephant, and the camera's sort of behind him, and you'll see all this grass everywhere, and everyone knows
See, he's in the tall grass.
that the tiger is hiding in the tall grass with the Pokemon. And, of course, about a minute into the video, the tiger appears and starts to go at this guy. I think this guy is some sort of ranger of some sort because he's got stuff that I think he's using to get the tiger, maybe. I think they're looking for the tiger, maybe. I don't know. Regardless.
He doesn't appear worried.
Yeah, he doesn't appear worried. I think he's like a tiger go-getter or some sort of zoologist or something. An animal person. Scientist. So this tiger comes running at him. And I'm like, oh, that tiger, he's all right. What's he going to do? He's going to, slash the elephant. The elephant will bonk him or step on him or something. The tiger jumps way up. And then the video cuts out. And, whoa, you got to see this shit.
Now, this is much different from the other tiger attack video on Dig right now, which is not what you think it is.
There are 2 tiger attack videos on Dig right now. The one I'm talking about is one that's actually a tiger attack. The other one is hilarious. You should watch it also. Let's just link to both of them.
All right, I can do that.
The other one, the other tiger attack video, it's a guy in a zoo, and there's some tigers behind a fence, and one of the tigers rubs up against the fence, and you're thinking, this tiger's gonna knock this fence down and eat this guy.
Yep, or this guy's gonna stupidly pet the tiger and the tiger's gonna scratch him or bite him, or maybe another tiger's gonna come or something. But the tiger's really cute. He's just kind of rubbing up the fence like cats do.
And then something happens I'm not gonna spoil. But it's hilarious.
All I have to say is I personally witnessed a lion do a similar thing to a child at a zoo when I was also a child. And my whole life, I have often thought, man, I hope that is never me.
I will guarantee that is never me. 100%. Because I'll never put myself in a situation where that could be me. Ever.
So it's Thursday. And we were going to, I'm going to give you a little insight into how we do Geek Nights here. You see, we have this calendar that's got set up on our personal Front Row Crew Gmail.
Well, we used to not have a calendar. We used to come up with the show idea the day we did the show. And then I said, hey, this sucks. Let's make a calendar, and we'll put the show topics on this calendar.
So we've used this for quite some time. And
calendar.
Mondays are full. Tuesdays are full pretty much forever, as are Wednesdays. Thursdays, there was only one more show left. And the thing is, this is a show that we kept every Thursday. We'd think, and we push it off and make up something else on the spot.
Yep.
And finally, we got to today, and we didn't have anything. We're like, crap, we have to do this show. And then I thought of a show to do, and then I just didn't feel like doing it, mainly because we went long in the first half of the show, and I got a lot of stories. I don't want to go long tonight because I got to pack so I can go to Toricon tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to Toricon tomorrow or Saturday, but I am doing a whole bunch of other crap this weekend, and I don't really want to have to, waste a whole bunch of time, important, precious time now thinking of a show.
So the show we kept avoiding because it didn't seem like it would be funny. It would mostly just be informative and serious. Was about resumes.
Yeah. Okay. People, write a resume. Don't make it suck.
Yeah. Make it like a lot of other resumes, but don't make it exactly like every other resume.
And make sure that there's actually good stuff to say about you to put on a resume. If you can't think of anything to put on a resume, you probably suck and don't deserve a job.
Maybe. If you're just out of college, you want to put classes you took. You want to put your major, your GPA, all that stuff, unless they suck.
Yep.
And you definitely want to focus on your skills. Have whole lists of things you know, things you're good at, names of software you know how to use. If you've worked
for tech,
if you worked for more than a few years, list all the companies you've worked for and the things you did for those companies.
Yep. Oh, that's pretty much it.
All right. So then we decided, all right, forget that. I just had a flat tire. Let's talk about car trouble, because we have a lot of car trouble stories over the years.
Yeah, well, anyone who lives in the U.S. where public transportation is kind of and you have to drive to get anywhere, has a car. Most people have a car. Or they drive quite frequently, perhaps daily or more than daily.
I drive, well, I did. Now I take the train, so I don't. But I used to drive 500 miles a week.
Yes, I drove quite a bit as well for the period where I was working in the middle of nowhere. And, well, people drive a lot, and when you drive a lot, you're gonna have trouble with cars at some point or another. They'll break. They don't last forever. There's a lot of moving parts in there. There's a lot of different systems with many different points of failure, and sometimes that can cause you a great inconvenience. So there's a lot to say about that.
Yep. Well, we've got a bunch of anecdotes that I was gonna go over. I just don't feel like it. But the moral of all of them, and I'll tell you this right now, the secret to avoiding car trouble or to getting out of car trouble.
Have money.
That's it. If you have money, you'll do the relevant repairs and your car will last practically forever. If you have money and your car breaks down, it is so easy to fix. If your car breaks down on the freeway and you're on a trip somewhere, you either need to have AAA or a credit card.
Both of those things are pretty much equal.
And the thing is, AAA won't actually save you. They'll fix a little thing. They'll fix your busted tire. They'll tow you somewhere. But if your problem is more than I'm out of gas or my tire is flat, they're going to tow you somewhere, and then you still need the credit card.
Yep. So, yeah, that's pretty much
there's
it.
no way out. You can't fix it on your own. You can't even move the car on your own. On most U.S. freeways, you can't even tow it on your own. You gotta
even if you were a mechanic, and even if you had tools in the trunk, you're going to need parts probably. If anything serious is broken. You're gonna
also,
need...
most repairs you could make on the road may or may not be illegal to continue driving with.
Yep. It just sucks all around.
And I've broken down a couple times way back when I was younger, didn't have any money. And let me tell you, every time I was only saved by the fact that while I didn't have money, I knew someone nearby who did. There is no way out if you don't have money. You're going to have to pay to tow. You're going to have to pay some stupid amount of money to get the car fixed. If you can't get it fixed, you're going to have to pay somehow to get where you're going or to get home.
Yeah, you know what? If I was Bill Gates and my car broke down, I would call a cab and leave the car there and not care about it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do.
And I'd go buy a new car.
I might hire someone and say, you take care of this car, fix it up and sell it or whatever. I don't care.
I'd sell it to someone right there. I'd put a for sale sign and wait.
I wouldn't wait. My time's too valuable. I'd hire someone to stand there with a for sale sign and the deed.
I'd sell it to the guy with the tow truck. I'd just give it to whatever. I'd sell it to the cabbie.
I'd give it to a charity right away. I'd take the tow truck and say, here's the deed, give it to a charity.
Yeah, that works too.
Of course, you know the tow truck guy would give it to the me charity.
That's fine.
Whatever.
It's getting used. Who cares?
So, yeah, that's it. We had nothing else in the Thursday queue other than we have several shows we could do that have been suggested by listeners. However, every one of these requires me not to be lazy, Scott not to be lazy, us to do some small amount of research, us to not spend 25 minutes doing the first half of the show, because otherwise we can't do the topic justice.
Us to not spend 15 minutes thinking about what we're going to do the show on.
Yeah. Also the fact that I'm lazy and tired, and I got to pack, and I got a bunch of stuff to do tonight.
So I just want to point out again, in the forums, there is a thread that's been there for a long time that says show reminders. It's sticky. You can't miss it. You should probably put some Thursday show ideas in that thread.
Yeah. I mean, we do look there. We often ignore or put off or do shows later, but we always look there.
Yep. I mean, I just looked there right now when I was sitting there not knowing what to do the show on. And I didn't find anything.
I think the problem with Thursday is that there's no limit. So it's like when you're role-playing. Well, I mean, Dungeons & Dragons is a pretty crappy system, all things considered.
It is.
Like, really crappy. And we use it only because when role-playing, while it is possible, it is usually not very fun to role-play in an entirely open environment where...
Yeah, imagine if you were just role-playing with some people, right? And there were no rules. There was no restrictions whatsoever. You'd be like, I fly off into the something plane that I just made up, where my friends I just made up, and we get the ultimate powerful thing I just made up. And
now, such role-playing can work, but it's very difficult to do well. You have to have a good group of people, and even then, even if you're doing it very well, it often bogs down and becomes unfun because there's no restrictions. There's no arbitrary limitations that force you to be creative. While D&D is a bullshit system, and we only use it because it happens to be a system that everyone we know knows.
And is very accessible.
Yes.
And has lots of dice that are fun.
And also it's one of the only systems that works very well with the kinds of games we play for now. Well, very well being relative, but we are, as fast as we can, learning Burning Wheel, and hopefully are going to play many more Burning Wheel games than we ever will play D&D games in the future.
I'm thinking about the Burning Empires, too.
Yeah. I'm still slowly writing my Napoleonic Wars, Men on a Ship, Horatio-style Burning Wheel game that's going to be totally awesome.
I might buy that Burning Empires book.
Yeah. But despite that, D&D, as crappy as it is wonderful in that all it does is provide an arbitrary set of limitations that we can use to focus our role-playing, and in getting around and dealing with the arbitrariness and the limitations, we often find even greater strengths than we would have on our own. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are a lot like that. We're forced to pick a topic that fits into some mold. Thursday, we could talk about my nuts.
Yeah, let's talk about your nuts.
All right.
Those pistachios are pretty damn good, let me tell you.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of cashews. I really like sunflower. I could eat like a half pound of sunflower seeds.
Sunflower seeds aren't nuts.
All right, I'm being vague here. Anything nutty like that. Sunflower seeds are close enough. I categorize them as nuts in terms of how they are edible and how I use them.
You suck.
I mean, what? Yeah, if you're putting food, I would put cashews, which are also not a nut, right? Aren't they something else too? I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure cashews are nuts.
Well, I do know that the outside of a cashew is poisonous and dangerous.
That is very true.
I know that much. But peanuts, cashews, Brazil nuts, almonds, sunflower seeds, they all fall into the same food category as far as I'm concerned.
Well, they do sell them in the same section of the grocery store.
Yeah.
So.
But
sunflower seeds are still not nuts, they're seeds.
My left nut is somewhat, but not too terribly larger than my right nut.
My nuts are There's probably a difference in size and shape and volume, but it's not perceptible with the hands.
There's not a lot of hair on my nuts. Partly due to the fact that I've mountain biked most of my life. There's actually no hair on my inner thigh either. It's all been rubbed off.
My inner thighs tend to be lacking a lot of hair, but and my nuts don't have as much hair as other parts of my body, but there's quite a few scragglies here and there.
I have very few scragglies. I have a lot of hair above, but below, on the actual relevant nut bits, almost nothing. There's like 8 hairs on the whole thing.
Oh, there's significantly more than 8.
Well, maybe more than 8. I better give this a look.
I've got a lot more than 8, but there's still not so many down there compared to the other parts. All right, so now Rim is counting his nut hair. I think Geeknights has descended into chaos.
There's only like 50 hairs on my actual nutsack.
All right. That's great.
See, that's what happens when we don't have Thursday ideas. So you better get cracking out there, internets.
Nut cracking.
Granted, a lot of the ideas you guys have suggested we are going to do. I really like the political debate idea where Scott and I just straight up sound off on a very specific issue. But I don't feel like doing that tonight. I'm tired. I got stuff to do.
I hardly ever feel like doing that lately. I'm just not into the whole politics arguing thing anymore. I'm just so tired of it. It's like,
See, now this annoys me greatly because I still like to argue about it a lot. And Scott is like, I'll be like, hey, and actually a lot of interesting stuff is going on in the legislative and executive branches of the U.S. government right now. There's a lot going on. I think just now, like Condoleezza Rice basically gave the Congress the finger and said, subpoena? Ha! I'm not testifying.
Yeah, it's basically there's just been so much bullshit for so many years, constantly, every goddamn day. I'm just like, that's enough. Nothing I do is gonna matter besides voting.
See, I don't think of it that way. I think of it in that it's a fascinating field of study, and I'm interested in it, and I like watching how things fold out, and I try to learn not how things are related on paper. I mean, if you look at the powers of the President of the United States, they're actually kind of few and far between. They're a lot less than you'd expect. But yet it feels like the president has crazy amounts of power. And it's interesting how things are on paper versus how things really work. And it's fascinating to me, but I've always been interested in politics.
Yeah,
and Scott usually says, whatever.
Yeah, I like me some political science, but, I'm just worn out and I don't care anymore.
Why don't we have...
And I'm going to, I'm not going to worry myself about all this bullshit that's just never going to stop.
Well, Scott,
and
why
I'll
don't we
just concentrate on my geeky stuff that I care
why
a lot
don't we
more
have,
about.
There are politics geeks. There are a lot of politics geeks.
I'm talking about my, my video games and my animes and things.
Lame.
Yeah.
We're Geeknights. We encompass all of geekdom. There are a lot of politics geeks out there. I knew many of them at RIT.
Yeah, I know. They exist, and I just don't care anymore.
In fact, one of my favorite classes ever was Politics and Communication, which was a seminar of me, 9 other people, and this awesome professor. And we basically sat around a round table and debated about the Democratic primaries for the entire quarter.
Uh-huh.
And it was fascinating. I loved the class.
That doesn't sound too exciting to me.
It actually really was. I learned a lot. Also, I think the best part was that it's, RIT quarters, 10 weeks, right? So there's like 9 people in the class. Basically, every week, one member of the class had to teach the entire lesson, the entire unit, the entire topic.
Sounds like a lazy teacher to me.
No, because the teacher was a hard ass. And basically, if you didn't do an awesome job, he would step in and provide everything that was needed to make the lesson awesome. And he would then destroy you for being an idiot. It was actually really cool.
That would be entertaining, no matter what the class was about.
Yeah.
The class could have been about, fish, and that would have been great.
Yeah. Well, it also helped that it was a pretty interesting time in politics, and we were just coming up on the Democratic primaries, and no one knew who was going to win, and the professor was 60% sure that John Edwards was going to get the nomination, and he thought that it was going to be due to so-called NASCAR dads and this whole thing that didn't really pan out, but no one thought John Kerry was going to get it. Not a single person.
Yeah, well, that's what happens.
But that was before Howard Dean and his, yeah.
Yeah.
Even though that was all BS.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, well.
Well, I can tell I'm boring you, Scott.
Yep. Yep.
Why don't we have a fun argument like John Adams politics versus Thomas Jefferson politics?
Because I only know the most general of details.
The most general. Okay, what are the most general of... we won't get into it.
Federalists, anti-federalists.
There's more to it than that.
States, feds.
How about we debate Jefferson's Navy?
A whole bunch of little boats.
Yeah,
Gonna get rid of the pirates.
I respect Thomas Jefferson, but the guy didn't seem to know a lot about naval warfare, and he wanted to revamp the U.S. Navy.
It's sort of like one of those ideas I come up with, like, well, what if we did this? Wouldn't that work? And then someone says, no, it wouldn't work because of this. Only no one says that, and you actually try some crazy, stupid idea.
Everybody in the world has like 8 big boats. Why don't I make 20 little boats? Yeah, that'll work so much better because you won't be able to hit them.
Yeah, okay, but they also won't be able to do anything.
Yeah. Dunk, a tunk, a tunk, tunk, ting, 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 ting.
It's like a giant castle. Like, hey, instead of having one castle, I'll have 1,000 spearmen. That's not gonna work, man.
Yeah.
They'll just catapult you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So, luckily, we spent a good 20 minutes now basically copping out, and I think we're going to end it here. Have a good weekend. If you're going to be anywhere in upstate New York, check out ToraCon at the Rochester Institute of Technology on Saturday. I don't know from when to when, but I got a panel about podcasting and internet radio sometime, I think 6:30. I got to look at the email before I drive out there.
Yeah, I'm not going to be there because I'm going to stay home, and I'm going to go to Moz. So if you're in the Poughkeepsie, New York area,
the Mid-Hudson Valley, downstate New York,
you can go to the Dragon's Den on Saturday, and I'll be there at some point and playing awesome board games. And then I'm probably going to go around buying some pairs of shorts and a new belt to replace my broken belt.
If you come to ToraCon and you're super cool, there is a decent chance that I'm going to be leading an expedition into the New York or the Rochester subway because there are several people who missed it the last time, and there's still fear that they're going to seal it up or get rid of it. So, also there's a professor, an unnamed professor, who really wants to go apparently. So, if the police, yeah, this will be cool because if the police bother us, there's going to be this old dude along with us who's a professor at a prestigious university.
Hilarious.
Yeah. What are you kids doing on there? I'm a professor. This is my doctorate.
Yeah, he'll be like, can we see your papers, please? See papers.
No ticket.
No ticket. All right. We're done?
I think we're done.
That teaches you all a lesson. Thursday ideas. Chop, chop.
Yes, because if you don't, you're going to get me counting the hairs on my nutsack.
Or we just won't do Thursday. What do you do about that, huh?
What will you do? What would you do?
Yeah?
Shoot the hostage. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Odeo. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.